Hey, world, being willing to come back live in the garden. Hope everybody doing good out there on this beautiful Sunday. It's nice out there. If you didn't get a chance, check. I just uploaded a video a couple of hours ago. I was at the park, and like I say, the skies were beautiful. The wind felt just great. The trees, the birds. I mean, it was a beautiful, tranquil uh, experience. Considering all the things that are going on right now. That's what it do. So and the irony of it is that there was a lot of people out there at the park enjoying the sun, enjoying the Most High's beautiful day that we had today. But I want to kind of get into a couple of things. I had a couple of family members ask me to get into just exactly how do you open up an investment account, and one other family members asked me about dividends and how do you actually get into that. And I said I also titled it "The History of Hypocrisy" because what's going on today. Once you understand the historical analysis about its history, I mean, it's not something that's just started. I mean, if you're younger, this probably tripping you out, but this isn't something that just started. This is something that if you go all the way back, you'll see that this whole type of scenario, where the masses of people are, driven to, absurdities, and because of what the television says and what some of the things, because I mean, it has to be something when every news station, every news outlet, every social media news program is only talking about the corona. It's ridiculous. So stay conscious, family. This isn't something that is new. But what is new is understanding, how to actually open up an investment account and how to actually, because like I told you before, if you've been in the garden before, I talk about investing in dividend stocks. And like I say, right now, I said, the market is still overvalued. I wouldn't get too caught up. I mean, like I said, the market has dropped 6,000 points, but went back up 2,000 points. And so, it's something that's going to, go up and down until it's an actual swan dive to where it's like a 30 or 40% drop. So you still got time to pay yourself first and get your capital together and do your research so you'll know exactly what it is you want to do when you start investing. But as I was talking about the history of this, is that you go all the way back to 1799, where J.P. Morgan, Chase. I mean, remember, they've been around since then. So the banking system that we have today is pretty much monopolized by one banking system, and it's J.P. Morgan Chase. That's it. And so you hear a lot of people talk about United States being bankrupt, right? But they never really elaborate on it or actually tell you why, we're in such a debt-laden society, why it's important that you pay yourself first, why it's important that you not only just have a bank account with Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America, because they all one. And if you don't understand that, if you don't believe me, look at what they give you for your savings account interest in Wells Fargo, Chase, and Bank of America. Look at what they give you. You'll see that they don't give you hardly anything. Okay, we're talking like pennies on the dollar. All right? DG, what it do? James, what's up? Okay. Like I say, we got to go back to the history. We got to go back. Remember, they've been doing this since the 1700s. I mean, you go back to the 1700s, they did this with something called yellow fever, where they was able to come in and provide fresh water to the masses, where you would think fresh water will already be there for the masses. And so this is something that's been going on a long time. All right. I mean, you go to Panic of 1907, you go to the Spanish flu of 1918, which in turn resulted in the Depression in 1933. And so all of these things that happen is happening for a reason. So that's why it's important to understand that there's no way you're going to actually be able to, gain some type of financial advantage by just working. I mean, if you have a 401k, you probably know that it's probably suffered a little bit, some losses. But if you're younger, you have time to get it back. But who wants to see 20, 30, 40, $50,000 losses in your 401k, right? So what I would do is basically, like I said, just for entertainment purposes only, I would open up an investment account. And for some of your family members that only have a bank account, I would definitely suggest open up your investment account. And how do you do that? It's just 3 steps. The first step you want to do, and the first step is actually choosing a financial institution that you would like to open up this type of account with. And so just like you have a credit rating, these institutions have credit ratings as well. So you don't want to just go to any brokerage account and say, hey, I want to open up an account. No, that ain't how you want to do it. You initially want to choose one by checking out its ratings. And each one of these institutions, whether it's Fidelity, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, Ally, all of these different institutions, they have a credit rating, which you can go check. And like the highest one is AAA, you have AA, A, and so on and so forth. So you don't want to deal with any financial institution that have B and lower than that. You like what creditors, when they deal with you, they want you to have 600, 700 credit score. When you open up an investment account, you want to make sure that the financial institution has a good credit rating to protect yourself from any type of shadiness. Second thing, you want to make sure that financial institution is not just an online institution, that it actually has a brick and mortar store, a brick and mortar location where you can actually go in, okay, and talk to someone, not just online. That's very important. You dig? So, like I say, first step in choosing an investment account or opening up an investment account is choosing one that has a good credit rating. Okay. Second thing, opening up the account. And what type of accounts these basically are? Individual accounts, which are basically your brokerage account. You have retirement accounts, which you can be your IRA or 401k. And then, of course, you have the checking account, where you can actually use that account as an emergency fund. All right. And so you have 3 different types of accounts in this one particular institution. One where you can actually buy stocks and bonds, which would be your individual account. Okay. And which is the account where you want to do your research on and only deal with dividend stocks that are going to pay you. Or if you do good research on different sectors and you see that that one of these stocks companies that you chose going to grow, then that's cool too. But you want to put those in your individual account, right? Because in your retirement account, which is going to be an IRA or 401k, you want to only deal with long-term mutual funds, cash, U.S. Treasuries, things that you're not going to lose any of your money. Okay, and so that's that account that that's going to hedge against Social Security, against pensions. This particular financial investment account can be another source of income for you. You did. And so, and then, like I say, the third account is a checking account, which is a check management account, where you can actually use that as an emergency fund account. All right. So just kind of recap on step 2, you're opening up an account, but it's actually 3 accounts. One is an individual brokerage account. One is your retirement account where you have your IRAs, and 3 is the check management account. Okay. So you have monies or you have assets in 3 accounts, right? And then, of course, the third thing you need to do is research, right? Especially for the retirement account, which normally should be an IRA, whether it's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. It needs to be one of those kind. Like I said, I don't care how young you are. You should start this now. This isn't something you should wait till you're in your 40s or your 50s and say, okay, I need to get an IRA, to hedge against Social Security or my pension. No, you need to start this now. The younger you are, the better you are. All right. So these accounts, of course, you have to be 18 to start it, but you can also have your parents, if you're younger, open up one for you too. That's why it's important to start, if you're going to work, you might as well start making that money, make money. All right. So that's what you need to do. And so with the retirement account, just make sure you those mutual funds that you're going to put in that retirement account, make sure those are mutual funds that have good net asset value, mutual funds that you've done the research on, mutual funds that also pay you dividends. Okay. Also tracks the index, the S&P 500. Okay. The Russell 2000. Okay. So you have particular index funds that actually track the market. And the S&P 500 is one of the top index funds because it's actually on average yearly really have the top annual returns. Okay, so that's really what you want. You want a higher return on your money, and you can't get that by just gambling. So you want to do something by putting in that retirement account, IRA account, mutual funds that's going to pay you over time, cash, U.S. Treasuries. Brandon, let's see here. No doubt. No doubt. Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And also Vanguard. Thanks, Brandon. Vanguard is another one that you want to look into. So just to kind of recap, family, on the step one, you want to choose institution. Like I say, make sure you check the ratings. You got Fidelity. You got Vanguard. You have Charles Schwab. You have E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, Ally. Okay? And check them out. Make sure they have good ratings. And don't just put everything in one institution. Okay? Diversify. You know what I'm saying? If you want to you may want to open up a brokerage account with Vanguard. Okay? Then you may want to get your IRA account with TD Ameritrade. You dig? You want to make sure, because if something go down, you don't want all your cash and all your assets being in one bank. You want to diversify and make sure that you have different locations where you can check on different assets. All right. So that's basically it, family, with opening up an investment account. You dig? It's pretty simple. Of course, in order to fund that account, you want to make sure that you have another bank that you actually can monthly send monies over to those accounts. Okay. Or if you want to make that your primary, do that as well. But you want to have monies that you invest. Remember, you got to pay yourself first. And paying yourself first means that's the bank that you're going to be transferring money over to, whether you send it to your individual account, whether you're sending it to your IRA, or whether you're sending it to your emergency fund account in that particular financial institution. All right. And once again, if you're doing your research on those dividend stocks, there are a couple of things, actually 3 steps you need to look at, or 3 tips I will give you before you start just choosing any type of dividend stock. Like I said, this for entertainment purposes only. But the first step you want to do when you're choosing a dividend stock is to find out, what company it is to find out how long they've been paying the dividend. Okay, and this is information that's pretty transparent. You can go to Yahoo Finance, you can go to Bloomberg, you can go to Morningstar, you can go to Zacks Investments. So there are a lot of different online, programs or online shows that you can go to get this information. Okay, and what that is the dividend payout information. And every company has to be transparent on that. And so you find out how long they've been paying the dividend. You find out how much is the dividend. And when you find out how much the dividend is basically based on an annual amount. And that is transparent as well. You can look on the balance sheet, or you can look on the, just type it in, Google it, and it tells you what's the dividend amount for this particular company. All right. And so you want to find that out. And then, of course, you want to find out what the dividend yield is. And the dividend yield is basically, the percentage of the monies that they pay in dividends in relation to the stock price. All right. So I'll give you an example. AT&T, let's say AT&T is trading at $45 a share, right? Well, AT&T pays like 55 cents a share per dividend. And so I think it's altogether like $2.40 annually. So in order for me to find the dividend yield, I would have to divide $2.40, which that's what they pay yearly in dividends. I would divide that by the stock price of $45, and that would give me the dividend yield. Okay, and sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, but you don't want to base your decision on just the dividend yield, because the stock price affects the yield. So you want to make sure that you get a dividend stock that's meeting your goals. Don't just choose a dividend stock just to choose it. You want to get one that's actually going to meet your goals. So if it's paying a particular dividend every 3 months, you want to make sure that you put in enough stocks, or buy enough stocks in that company where it's worth your while. Example, if you bought 10,000 shares of stock in AT&T, then you know that every 3 months you're getting $5,500. That ain't bad. Okay? And so the third thing you want to find out about a dividend stock is, what is this payout ratio? Okay, and all that basically is telling us is based on how much money it makes, how much revenue it makes, because remember, you can't pay dividends unless you have extra revenue. And when a company has extra revenue and profits, you want to know how much of that extra revenue and profit are you using to pay dividends. And so if a company is only using 15%, 10%, 20%, that's good, because they can sustain over a long period of time. But if a company is paying 85, 95% a dividend payout ratio, you should be worried about that, because, how long can they actually, do that? If 85 to 95% of the revenue is going toward paying the shareholders dividends, you should be kind of worried about that, because they're not making as much as you would like. So it's little things like that you want to kind of take in consideration, family. Jazz, what it do? All right, little things like that. Hey, Hookaroo, what's up? So just to recap, right? If you want to invest in dividends or dividend stocks, 3 things you want to take in consideration. You want to find out, do your research, find out how long have they been paying dividends. Most companies been paying dividends a long time. You want to look at how much was the dividend? Was it 50 cents the whole time? Did it go up? Did it go down? How long was it the same before it went up or went down? You did? So that's kind of stuff you want to kind of look into. You want to look into the dividend yield, which is basically how much they pay per year in relation to the stock price. If the stock price goes up or goes down, that's going to affect the dividend yield. So don't just take the yield in consideration when you choose it. Okay, and then of course the payout ratio, how much of the revenue do they use to pay dividends? Okay, now I can tell you that like blue chip stocks, those are the big dogs. REITs, which are real estate investment trusts, those are really good ones that you have the capital, you want to invest in those because they have a history of paying good dividends. And then of course with a REIT, by law they have to pay 95% of their revenue as dividends. What's a REIT? REIT is a real estate investment trust. That's how you can kind of invest in real estate indirectly still get paid dividends. You dig? So that's it right there, family. Like I said, you have 3 steps to choosing dividends. You have 3 steps to opening up an investment account. And then the history of this hypocrisy goes all the way back to the 1700s. So don't think that that's what's going on with the coronavirus. I know your subconscious is telling you some things. I know your common sense is telling you that, wait a minute, where's the treatment? If they just started testing, where's the treatment? Okay, Jarrell, what it do? Okay, look, common sense. And so when you have a little common sense, you are able to go out and enjoy the day like I did today, and like many people with a little common sense did today. Instead of cooped up in the house, scared of a cold. Okay? And like I say, family, like I said, those out there that are suffering colds and sinuses and allergies, because this is that time of year, I hope you get better. They have all that type of medication out there for you, or they have holistic approaches that you can take, natural approaches that you can take to help you get better. You dig? But don't live in fear. Okay, poverty and death are the biggest things that those in power know we're afraid of. Okay, but you love, what's inside of you, which is the Most High, then why would you be afraid? Use your common sense, family. All right? So if I just want to come on for a little bit, like I say, if you didn't know about this history, like I say, it goes all the way back to the 1700s when they had the yellow fever rather, and then, the Spanish flu, and then all the way back up now to the coronavirus. So, and if you check the numbers were never, ever to pandemic approaches. When you say pandemic, you need to, you have to realize, that has in no shape or form can even meet the numbers that, Native Americans were killed during the Trail of Tears, or the number of so-called slaves were killed during slavery. You dig? Or the number of natives that were killed, during the Spanish explorations over here. Or all the people that were killed during the Holy Wars, Spanish Inquisitions, So, to me, those were wars. Those were people actually killing people. So nowhere in history in America have we had a situation where that many people, you know, masses of people were killed, you know. So don't be afraid, family. It's been going on for a long time. Keep y'all on the prize. You dig? All right? So once again, those that believe all these absurdities will commit the worst atrocities. Check your bank account, family, because I promise you, there's probably a lot of people feeling some pain right now, going to buy all that stuff at the store. All right? Well, family, I thank you for joining me in the garden. Like I said, in the meantime, between time, and the most high inside to bring you joy. Chino, what it do? Come back live again tomorrow, family. Like I said, a couple of things you need to do. Open up that investment account. Get those dividend stocks. Not now. You did? We still it's still kind of overvalued right now. But if you want to dibble and dabble in it, do your research. All right, you got 3 things you need to look out for. When you get a chance to check it out, go back and check out this live and look at those 3 things I talked about. It's going to really, really help you, family. Because remember, money never moves our way. And if you don't believe me, how much money did the banks give you when you got your mortgage, or when you got your car loan, or when you got your student loan? I'm guessing, you didn't get that $100,000 in cash, or that $200,000 in cash, or that $50,000 in cash. I'm guessing you didn't do that. But I'm pretty much certain that you paid them back your money plus some. See, so the money only moves one way. And so if the money's only moving one way, then you misconstrue. That's some cognitive dissonance, because what you feel are assets are really liabilities. If they give you a car loan and give you a mortgage loan and give you a student loan, and you never getting the money, then you didn't get a loan. What you got was a promissory note that you signed to give them back not only what they said they gave you, but interest. See how this works? And that's why America is bankrupt. And it's been bankrupt since the 1800s, because this type of banking system, it keeps you in debt. How do you think these wars were financed? It goes all the way back to the 1800s. Okay, when what J.P. Morgan, Chase, and those cats, financed the war with England and France, when England and France were going at it. Okay, so England and France owed the banks a lot of money. So who do you think they was in debt to? And then you flip the script and you start looking at the Vietnam War, you start looking at the Korean War, you start looking at World War I, World War II. I mean, it was $500 million that the banks, was given different countries to finance wars. See, this is something that's been going on a long time, family. This is the history of hypocrisy. Ashley, how you doing? You dig? So when the money's only going one way, this banking system has doing this a long time. So when people say, oh, America's bankrupt, then you got to understand how it's bankrupt. What do you mean it's bankrupt? Well, the banking system has pretty much bankrupted the United States, because the United States are in the pockets. Who you think financed these wars? Okay, J.P. Morgan and Chase. Okay, one banking system. World War I, World War II. All right, and so now, that's the process. That's why it's a debt-laden society. That's why I can say. That's why when you get the mortgage loan, the car loan, the student loan, they don't give you the money. You never see the money, but you got to pay it back 3 or 4, 5 times more. See, the only real money leaves you. You never get it. See, that way the rich stay rich, and then the poor have to stay living. In order to stay living, think about this. Social Security, you got to get 40 credits. That's a lot of years you have to work to get Social Security. All right? And then if you don't get Social Security, like teachers and firefighters and most state pension employees, which are basically teachers, firefighters, and cops, we can't even get Social Security. So the system is designed for you to have to work 20, 30, 40 years in order to live the quote-unquote American dream, to get the house and the car. That's accruing liabilities, because remember, anything that's not coming in is a liability. If it's going out, it's a liability. If it's coming in, it's an asset. Yeah, yeah, and it kind of tripped me out how they focusing on the elderly. And if you have any type of historical background, you know that this is, like Victoria said, this is going to be the largest number of elderly citizens we have ever. These are the baby boomers, my parents. You did? And then it's kind of ironic that at this particular time, those are the people that they put on lockdown. Let me get this right. You put them on lockdown in an enclosed environment where what if somebody's already infected, or what if you infect somebody? What's going to happen? Okay? So so you know if they don't care about senior citizens and you have to work 40 years, 30 years, and then as teachers, you have to work 20, 30 years to get a pension. And when you think about this for a minute, those are the teachers out there or educators out there, think about this for a minute. Why can't teachers, firefighters, and police officers contribute to the Social Security as well? Why can't we have a pension and Social Security? Because in 15 states in America, that's not allowed. Why can't I say, no, I would like to be able to contribute 7.2% of my salary to Social Security and Medicare, just in case, just have, hedge my losses? Nope, can't do that. And that's something that, that's a big deterrent if you want to get into education. All right. Yeah, and then the schools are closed now. So a lot of the teachers' aides and paraprofessionals, they're hourly workers now, they're not going to get paid. I know they said they're going to try to look out for those that have the coronavirus, give them paid leave and whatnot. But what about those that don't have the coronavirus and those that are hourly workers? Are they going to get paid? Oh, wow. No, I don't. Wow, I don't know what that is, Mystic. I don't know what corona is. I know what it ain't. It's not what they say it is. It's something that's been around since 1984. Just look at the Encyclopedia of Medicine from 1984. It's in there. All right. And then look at the signs and symptoms. And then there's no treatment plan. You dig? No treatment plan. So once you get tested and they say you have it, right? What are they giving you for it? So I used to be a paramedic. Are they going to give you fluids? What are they going to do? Nobody asked that question. Okay? So, family, like I say, just stay smart. It's been going on for a long time. Do what you normally do every year around this time when it's the flu season and then, we have allergies because the pollen count is at all-time high, or when you have sinuses. Do what you've been doing. Wow. Well, like I say, everything that you know about all this kind of stuff is hidden in plain sight. Use your common sense. Don't stop living. Pay yourself first. And like I say, this is going to be great opportunities for you if you stay on top of what's going on geopolitically. I just think it's kind of ironic that one code can be a pandemic around the globe and nobody's saying anything about Flint, Michigan, and the water situation in Flint. That's interesting. China, he's saying that the U.S. currency is worthless, so people should start put. Like I say, a lot of that can't go by that because there's no such thing as money, and so it's really military. It's really status quo. See, the United States money goes up and down like that on purpose. This is like I say, we have to understand when you talk about the government and when you're talking about U.S. Treasury and all that kind of stuff. Take that out of the equation. It's a banking system. You dig? It's a banking system. Why do you think every major country have a central bank? This is a system this is the one world government that they talked about, but they used the word government instead of banking system. See, every country that's ever been in a war had to have its war financed by banks, by central banks. That's why, the situations that happen in one country happen in all the countries. You dig? So don't let's take the government out of it, because we know the government is not doing anything. The government, like I told you before, if you've been in the garden a while, you have the real actors and the fake actors. The real actors are the politicians, the ones that lie in your face, lie on the television, tell you what they're going to do for the American people, but never do. And then, isn't it kind of ironic how they always separate themselves from the American people? Aren't they American people? See, that's when you start understanding, oh, that's why Washington, D.C. is a sovereign state. It's not a part of the United States. That's why the politicians always refer to voters as the American people or the voters. You did? Because I promise you, before I get out here, family, I promise you, if politicians had to live off Social Security benefits like everybody else, they would not, this Social Security system would never, ever be threatened. It would be a pretty nice, viable one. But when you don't have to have that type of retirement plan, when yours is, grade A, then you're not really worried about nothing. And so we know that the real actors are the politicians and the fake actors are the quote unquote entertainers and singers and actors that supposed to come and influence you guys to buy stuff from the other corporations. Remember, the corporations are only corporations because they bought by the banks. Don't think for 1 minute that when you look at all these different sectors, Walmart and all the car industry, the airline industry, the pharmaceutical industry, those industries do not finance themselves. They are financed through banks. And so who you think owns the corporations? The banks. So that's why it's important to kind of understand, like, get your investment account, because just having a regular account is not going to do you any good. And Victoria, and that's why they cut the interest rate. But like I say, it's cyclical. It's something that happens all the time. I mean, look at the U.S. Treasuries. I mean, how is it that the 2-year, 5-year, 10-year U.S. Treasury bonds are under 1 point? That's ridiculous. I mean, inflation is 2%, and you tell me the U.S. Treasury bonds, the 2-year, the 5-year, and the 10-year are all under 1 point? That's ridiculous. So when you put your money in the bank, your money gone. Don't forget about fractional reserve. Your money gone. They only have to keep 10% of your money in the bank, and everything else is, the whole objective of banks is to get your money and make your money, make them more money, and then charge you interest for your money, because they know you really don't have any money. You did? Remember, before I get up out of here, the car loans, the mortgage loan, the student loan, you never got the money. You never seen it. But you had to pay back more than you supposed to have got. All right? Well, family, thanks for joining me in the garden. In the meantime, between time, may the Most High inside to bring you joy. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And being with is out of 5,000.